Once upon a time there was a knight named Austin. He was a member of the Bear Kingdom's Round Table. He was a brave and loyal knight, friend of the king of the bear army, Jacob. One day the peaceful kingdom was having a beautiful banquet, when a villainous schemer came along. He posed as a friend, and he joined with the Knights of the Round Table. He convinced Austin there was but one plan, an evil seen countless times. He went to the king of the bears, with a knife behind his back. Austin said, "Can I have a hug? I'm feeling down." And that's when he attacked. He plunged the knife into the king's back. The bear king was now laying dying. It was a brutal attack. But the gods of the kingdom did so weep that the king's punctured heart should freeze over, and his powers were born. Of course, the villainous acts were not done for naught, for Austin was granted the power of passionate flame, and so he used his fiery, menacing powers to dominate part of the kingdom, bringing about the reign of the fire. The new Ice King Jacob reclaimed half of his kingdom. One kingdom was now two, though, and their word forever altered. A friendship so strong, yet how did it falter? As the war raged on between fire and ice, both kingdoms' powers grew, attracting people anew. People joined both kingdoms, and they seemed all but nice. The kingdoms' mights clashed, and one thing was true. King Austin reigned with fear and might. He attacked the citizens and brought them into the fight. King Jacob ruled with love and care. Watching innocents die was more than he could bear. Austin's attack of neighboring lands forced many to flee. Many went to the Ice Kingdom, and their protection the Ice King guaranteed. A brave knight named Sir Green was among the refugees. He joined the Ice Kingdom and soon became a deputy. Jacob and Sir Green pushed Austin's armies back, protecting the citizens and then going on the attack. Austin now feared, and so he sought a new knight. Kyler was found in Austin's prison to his great delight. Kyler was granted some of Austin's power. In exchange, it was the Ice Kingdom he sought to devour. Kyler went to King Jacob, claiming to be a victim of the king's reign. Jacob believed him and granted him entrance into the ice domain. Overnight, explosions grew throughout the land. Sir Green summoned more snow knights. They were really quite grand. However, the explosions were too much, and they faltered and failed. Kyler then appeared, and with his sword, Mr. Green he impaled. King Jacob was trying to protect the young and the old, but this attack was worse than any story can truly be told. King Jacob saw that Kyler was to blame. He threw an ice spear with perfect aim. Kyler was hit and fell back in pain. He knew it was then he couldn't remain. Kyler ran off screaming, "How I love my work!" Kyler disappeared in the night with a devious smirk. The explosions then started in the kingdom of fire. After a moment, he stopped to admire. He was a traitor and schemer, but to Jacob it would seem like he was an Austin redeemer. King Austin and Jacob were allies once more. A truce was born to find Kylo, and the ward they'd explore. Austin and Jacob did search all around for where Kylo did hide. Jacob scouted ahead and looked on in horror. His knights were hung on spikes, and his people were held in tight confines. He contacted Austin, who quickly arrived, realizing Kylo and him were a lot alike. The two then clashed with Kylo, who quickly fell. But Kylo frowned as he had something to tell. "Allies, how could this be?" he proclaimed as Jacob smiled on. "You shouldn't have attacked the man who set you free." Jacob smiled as he said, "You created a truth between Austin and me." Kylo's face became quite puzzled, but before he could speak, Austin swung his great sword at Jacob, who froze it in place. Jacob then held his hand toward the sea. Austin's fate now looked bleak. A trident emerged, and soon Austin's sword would have to be replaced. However, Austin's hands then lit a fire, and soon an axe would appear. Kylo then used the opportunity to disappear. On his way out, Kylo flipped a lever. The imprisoned citizens then had zombie fever. Jacob held back Austin's onslaught as he used magic to heal the villagers. The fever subsided, ending that ordeal. Austin looked on in rage as the citizens threw rocks. Austin then shot flames where they froze, and they were blocked. This forced Austin to flee. Some citizens then began to chase, but Jacob stopped them and told them to stay in their place. He tended their wounds, and then they went to the sea. Soon they arrived back at the kingdom of ice. King Jacob then saw Austin's forces marching. Jacob then let his powers start charging. A wall of ice was formed, one that nothing could slice. The onslaught was unending. Jacob's powers, however, were not so unbending. Austin's army broke through after weeks of attack, as Jacob's power finally failed at repairing the crack. Jacob was holding the endless force all alone. His true power was shown. He was tired and weak from holding up the great wall, and now that Austin's demons would try and make him fall. However, Jacob held on, putting up a great fight. Austin soon realized that he'd have to bypass Jacob's unending might. Austin's focus then shifted to the children, you see. He rounded them all up, and with that, it was Jacob's defense he was sure to disrupt. Jacob then rushed toward King Austin to save the kids, and with that, Austin revealed the power that he hid. His demons began to possess the kids as they screamed. It was worse than anything Jacob could have dreamed. Jacob wouldn't hurt the kids, so he froze them in place. His magic was running low as Austin laughed. "You disgrace! These kids are mine now. They will kill you, but yet you won't do what must be done." Jacob replied, "You haven't yet won." Austin laughed as one of the kids slashed Jacob across the chest. Austin then took the chance, leaving Jacob no time to rest. His axe flew to Jacob, who summoned his trident, but the army swarmed, and Jacob soon would fall. The story was not over. In fact, it had just begun, for one goddess in particular had another plan. From the clouds above she did watch on for many years. She saw the bear army. She grew attached to the bear's king, as when he fought, it wasn't out of hate or to seek power, but instead for noble goals, like finding justice and saving others from tyranny. So when he lay dying, she was one of the first to shed a tear. But it wasn't until later when she saw her worst fear. The Fire Kingdom was winning. You see, its king corrupted all the knights. Jacob and his people were surviving, though it took all of his might. So the goddess Cheyenne decided she knew what she had to do. Turning herself mortal, this would start the war anew. Her powers were now tied to that of the earth, and she reclaimed some land long forgotten. And with her new earth kingdom she raced in, saving the kingdom of ice. Or did she? Well, that remains to be seen. This is, however, yet another beginning. So many more stories to be told.